Right, here we're asked, I have £660 that I want to invest. I could put it into an account which pays 3.7% compound interest or an account which pays 4% simple interest. Going to leave the money in the account for 7 years when I turn 18 and hope to buy a car with it. But which account should I put the money in? Looking at it first, you might think that the simple interest one is the best one to put into because the interest rate is higher. But what we need to remember is that with simple interest, you get that set amount of interest every year. It doesn't change. It's based on what you originally start with. Whereas with compound interest, you're getting interest on top of the interest you've already got. So it increases at a greater amount. So on doing this one, we'll have to lay it out carefully. We want simple interest or compound interest. If it is compound interest, we know that it's £660. We know that it is 3.7% and it is for 7 years. Let's finish the compound interest one first. Step 1 would be to add 100% and our interest, the 3.7% together, to give us 103.7%. Step 2 is to change that into a decimal. And anytime you want to change a percent into a decimal, divide it by 100. So we end up with 1.037. And that's our decimal, and that's what we call our multiplier. Step 3 is to use this formula. Initial amount which is £660 multiplied by our multiplier, which is 1.037 in this case. So that's why we need to get this as a decimal. That multiplier is to the power of time. In this case our time is 7 years. So put it to the power of 7 as so. And when we do that, that will give us our new amount. So that tells us what it is at the end of the 7 years. Step 4, we're going to do that in the calculator. What we're going to do is we're going to do this bit first here, because we've got an indice and a multiplication. We want to make sure we're careful about this and do the indice bit first. So to do this in your calculator, we will need to do 1.037 to the power of 7. Because in our calculator we've got to the power of 2, to the power of 3, but we don't have the power of 7. We use the YX button. So it'll be YX and then 7. 1.037 YX 7 as so, gives us this messy decimal here. You don't have to write this down, these numbers, but do keep it in the calculator, because what you definitely don't want to do now is to round that number. You want it exactly as it is, so don't cancel anything. Our last step on this, so was all calculator work so far, so very straightforward. Step 5 will be to multiply that by the 360. And whatever answer we get, that is our final answer. There's nothing else to do with it. So, leaving in the calculator, multiply by 660, and there's our answer, 851. Make sure You write down all the digits again. So, because finally we need to round it. It's money, so it needs to be to 2 decimal places. So the second decimal place is the 2. Underline it. Circle the 8. The 8 is above 5, therefore the 2 needs to look to a 3. So the final answer is £851 and 13 pence if I invest it in the compound interest one. Simple interest. The initial details are the same. We start off with £660. This time the interest rate is different. We've got 4% rather than the 3.7%. And the time scale is still the same, 7 years. So, the clues in the name. This is a lot simpler to do. Step 1. We need to find 4% of £660. To do that, 100% equals 660. We want to find 1% first. To get from 100 to 1, we divide by 100. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. 660 divided by 100. Once you get 1%, you can get any percent after that, which we'll see next when we do our 4%. So 660 divided by 100 is £6.60. It's 4% we need. So we want to go from 1 to 4%. To do that we need to multiply by 4. So we'll do exactly the same on the other side. And there's our answer. £26 and 40p. So because it's simple interest, that's the interest that I'm going to get at the end of every year. And it doesn't change, it's the same amount that I'm going to get at the end of the year. So step 2, what we're going to do is, we know that it's for 7 years. Here's our 7 years. So every year I'm getting £26.40 for 7 years. So the total interest that we get over the 7 years is £184.80p. That's the interest I get. But something doesn't look right because over here I had 851. What we need to do now is add this onto the original amount, and that tells us what we have at the end of the 7 years. So step 3, I started off with 660. I gained £184.80p in interest. So at the end of the 7 years, I've now got £844.80. The question was, which account should I put the money in? Clearly, the compound interest account pays out a lot more than the simple interest, about £7 more. So I should put my money in the compound interest account. Again, looking at it originally, it would have been easy to think, well, this is 4%, it's more than the 3.7%, so I'll put in the simple interest account. But again, with the compound interest, what you need to note, what you need to remember is you're getting interest on the interest you already get. It's changing, it's increasing with every passing year, whereas with the simple interest, you're gaining the same amount every year. And there you have it, the difference between simple and compound interest.